Hi, thanks a lot for picking up one of our 7 mead tastings. So today, Will and I are going to be talking you through pretty much the range of what we do here at Gosnell, is that right?
Yeah, so we're going to be going through two main styles of mead, I guess, especially two main styles that we do. In the tasting bundle, you're going to get 4 cans of mead and 3 specialty meads.
So the 4 cans are the kind of core range, the ones we kind of make most of. So they're, I guess, a classic hydromel style, which is, I mean, there's thousands of different types of mead.
Yeah, even with that, you can go hydromel, session mead, sparkling mead. I think there's even a short mead, which is a term for a short aged or non-aged mead. But yeah.
Yeah, so there are 4 core meads, and then we've got 3 special things that we've knocked up in the brewery as well.
Yeah, so we do quite a lot of barrel program work here, and we do some high gravity sort of brews as well. So the first one of that will be the pineapple Kvik, which is a roasted pineapple and Kvik. Kvik is a traditional Norwegian ale yeast, so that's ferments super tropical, super high. It's got a high tolerance for alcohol. It produces some nice sort of tropical notes, and we just thought we'd put a little bit of roasted pineapple on the top of that and let that ferment out.
Cool.
And then the other 2 are barrel fermented and barrel aged meads. So they're both based on a traditional base. One's got plums and the other one's got mango and Scotch bonnet.
That's really exciting.
So yeah.
So should we open up the pack and
let's see what
we got?
So the first one you'll have is a little sheet, which will have a little descriptor about everything. It'll have where you can find this video, but you've already found it, so well done. On the other side, just a little bit of space, just take some notes, or to sort of write down anything that you liked or disliked, or something you want to just take note of. But we'll probably
let's
jump straight in.
Well, let's open it up, right? So we've got the 4 pack of meads. So that's our classic meads. Then we've got the 3 special meads, which come in the little bottles, and then we've got a few other bits and bobs. So we've got some honey. So what's cool about this kit is you get the honey that the meads have been made from.
Yeah, so you'll get 2 honeys. So one honey is the European blossom, which is what we base the cans on. So that's a poly blossom. So a blossom is a flower that produces fruit. So that's a blend of different blossoms, and then we also have a monoflora honey, the orange blossom, which is an orange blossom honey.
And then we've got some other bits and bobs. We've got a bit of info about us and the brand. We've got a seed bomb. So this is our helping out the bees, especially over winter.
So it's not a piece of chocolate, don't eat it.
Don't eat it. So if you plant this in your garden, a load of wildflowers will grow up to kind of...
Yeah, we did that outside the brewery, and over the summer it just went absolutely nuts. It's a beautiful little thing to see.
And a few coasters as well, just to brighten up your desk.
Oh, we might as well use these.
There we go. Right, so where should we start? Should we start with some honey?
I think we should start with some honey. So first off, we'll have a look at the orange blossom, the European blossom, sorry.
So what's really cool about mead and the mead we make is that depending on the different style of honey we use, or different type of honey, and depending on what the bees have been foraging for, you get a different flavour in the honey. And then when you ferment through the sugars, that kind of all gets accentuated, so you can get that bee to bottle flavour.
Yeah,
that's kind of what
and just like if you're new to mead as well, we should probably cover what mead is. So mead, like grape cider wine, honey is to mead. So it's just where you get your fermentable sugars from. So just like in wine, honey has a terroir. So depending on where the bees have been foraging, the weather, the soil that's growing, the flora, the different types of flora, you get a beautiful range of, or a beautiful expression of the area it comes from.
So this is a blossom honey, as we mentioned. It's a blend of different types of honey. And so what we do is we like to blend a load of honeys together so we get a consistent flavour. So year after year, depending on, obviously it varies depending on what the bees have been eating, we're trying to get a really consistent flavour so we can make our core meads out of them, and they taste the same each year.
Yeah, so let's have a bit of a go. So this is quite a, I wouldn't say typical honey, it's still quite a really, really nice honey, but it's a nice sort of rounded sweetness. It's got a little bit of fruitiness to it, a little bit of that genuine honey character as well. It's quite a simple, complex honey, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a good base honey in which we like to layer a load of other flavours on.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you want from this honey, is to be able to have a honey that can stand up to lots of different adjuncts that come in. So if you're going to put a flavour over the top, then this honey is really good because you'll pull different parts out of it. So, you know, if you put, like with the hibiscus, you put it in, you pull that nice honey character, but you also get a little bit of that sort of red fruity sort of character come through as well with it, and a little bit of that's from the honey as well. But then you put the hops in there and you get a little bit more of that apple sort of blossom that comes through in it as well.
Yeah, so that's really cool. And then the next honey we like to use, it's one of our favourite types of honey, is the orange blossom honey. This is actually the honey I used when I first started brewing to make our Gosnell for London, so the original. Now comes in those big 75cl bottles.
Yeah, so this one is a honey that you'll see a very big difference between the two. This one's got a roundy, little bit more musky sort of feel to it. It's got a higher acidity. There's a little bit of like citrus undertone, and sometimes that can be attributed to your mind just sort of looking for that when it says orange on the side. Yeah, you're looking for that citrus, but it's there. The acid profile is a little higher, and we like to use that. Well, it's more of a premium honey as well, so we really like to use that when we're trying to showcase the honey. So especially with these traditionals, or God, you call them melomels, or you know, there's lots of names that you can go with that, and these names are usually historically driven as well. So, you know, like these can be called metheglins as well, which is anything that has a spice added to it or a flower. So the hibiscus or the hop would be classified as a metheglin, which comes from the Welsh term for medicine.
There you go, that's a Mead fact for you.
That is, and yeah, a lot of them get their names from these sort of historical things, like a rhodomel is Greek for...
rose.
Yeah, it's like
rose hips, or...
No, it's rose honey?
I don't know. Well,
yeah, I'll remember that in a minute.
Yeah, fair enough.
But,
so I think what's really cool about these two honeys, you can see the difference between them. So one of them, I like to describe as quite, so the orange blossom honey is quite a distinct kind of sharp flavour almost, and the other one's a bit more rounded. So you can kind of see how we're going to use that as we make our meads. So now's probably a good time, if you're not set up, get yourself a glass, make sure your meads are all chilled and you're ready to go.
Yeah, so remember, chill these ones. These ones you can serve at room temperature as well. Or you can serve them slightly chilled. I probably wouldn't put them in the freezer and have them super cold.
Yeah, you want them to
just a little bit to open up, and because they're oxidized as well during that fermentation process, because they're barrel fermented, you know, having them open and get a bit of oxygen just help lift up that flavor profile as well.
Sure. So, should we go into it?
Let's get into it. So I think we'll start with the hopped.
Yeah, I normally start with the hopped.
Yeah, the hopped is one that's a little bit more accessible to people in understanding what the flavour profile is going to be. If you've drank beer, you know what the hops are like, and you know what the sort of flavour profile they give, a little bit of bitterness, a nice little bit of aromatic as well. So yeah, these ones are done with US Cascade hops.
Right, so quite big hops.
Quite big hops, you know, not super tropical, but a little bit tropical. Oh, that's what the coasters are good for, because when you spill, you don't move it all around.
Well, try not to anyway.
But, so the first thing you're going to sort of see is that beautiful colour. So we're looking at that first honey here, the European blossom, which is quite dark and yellow. And you're going to see just a little bit of that stick in the final product.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of head retention as well. Unlike beer, we don't have as much proteins in our mead as well, so we don't get as good head retention. So when you see that head drop, it's not flat, it's just how that sort of product settles out.
Sure, it's worth saying that the cans are obviously all carbonated, so it kind of helps to lift some of the flavours. They're 4%, so they're quite sessionable and quite easygoing. And that carbonation just adds to the mouthfeel, and the CO2 is actually a little bit acidic, so it kind of sharpens up some of the flavours.
Yeah. So the other thing too is, you know, I get it all the time. What do you shake your glass, or what do you roll it around? Sometimes you do it because you're adding a little bit of oxygen into it, or you're knocking out a little bit of that CO2, so you can lift some of those more volatile compounds up into
the aromatics kind of.
And you get those into your nose.
So what does it taste like, or smell like on the nose? Well,
so on the nose, the first thing I always get with our stuff, it's honey. So you're going to get honey at the forefront, and that's kind of the idea. But just behind that, those sort of secondary flavours start to kick in. There's a little bit of apple, I get a little bit of elderflower.
Yeah, I definitely get the elderflower coming through, and that's the kind of the flavours that people often mention is that elderflower.
Yeah, and it's again talking about it being hops. It's something that you've smelled before and you understand, and if you're doing these sort of tastings quite often, you get a little bit deeper, and when you start getting a bit deeper into this, you get a little slight citrus note. There's a little bit of There's a little bit of almost like grassiness in there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's have a taste. Cheers.
Oh, I always forget how good that is. So, on the palate for me, it's, you obviously get that hit of kind of not sweetness, but like you definitely know there's some honey character coming through.
Yeah. So for me, the first part of palate is adjusting to that sweetness level.
Yeah.
And that's why it's always good to start with the hops because of the hops as well, you get a little bit of bitterness. So that kind of helps towards the end of the palate as it's also start to bitter out and get that little bit of tannin structure, a little bit of astringency at the end. That middle palate, the acid seems to come through and just sort of lighten it up as well. And you get a nice sort of floral and sort of, I'd say grassy again.
Yeah, and elderflowery kind of notes.
Yeah, this sort of
floral notes. Yeah,
and they sort of come through all the way through that palate, and then you get a nice sort of drying finish with the hops.
Yeah, it's a nice kind of short, sharp finish. I think
Yeah.
it's quite nice and crisp and refreshing.
And you'll see that when we start comparing these cans together, even though they've got a very similar base, they really do differ past the first part of the palate.
Yeah.
Some of them, like the Citra, which we'll get to, a little bit salty at the front as well, but it's more salty at the finish.
Yeah.
But yeah, so enjoy, guys. Let's move on to the next one.
Yeah, obviously feel free to give us a pause whilst you enjoy this. Don't expect you to ramp through
Yeah, that's it.
7 Meads.
When you look at the video and you go, I've got to drink 7 Meads in 25 minutes, you can. If you want to record that and send it to us, that's
Oh, we
always
love-
fun.
we love
We
it,
do
that.
love a very intense short drinking session. So yeah, efficient. Yeah, that's it.
So I normally go on to the Citra.
Yeah.
So these were actually they're formulated at the same time. So when we were looking to make the hops, this was a much more experimental recipe. Kind of, I think the inspiration from Nick, who made it, your predecessor, was a goza. So kind of, taking inspiration from that. So
a goze, if you don't know, a goze is a sour beer, so a lactose sour beer with coriander, lemon peel, and hops.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're going with here, except we've transferred the coriander for tarragon. So we've sort of brightened it up, and the tarragon gives you a little bit of anise, not over the top. As somebody who's quite sensitive to that sort of anise flavour profile, it's very well incorporated. And then the saltiness just gives it a nice,
So there's
clean
some sea salt
finish.
in it.
Yeah,
forgot that.
we did. So at the end, you got a little bit of sea salt. So the story when I started here that I really enjoyed was that Tom used to drive down to Cornwall, fill up an IBC full of seawater, bring it back.
It wasn't an IBC, it was a big jerry can, because the Clio can only take
Okay,
only take 50
I've
litres
seen
of
that
seawater.
Clio take a lot.
I know.
It's a beautiful car. If you're looking for an old car, buy a Clio.
Yeah, no, Anyway, so it was originally with seawater. Obviously, we scaled up the recipe, so we replaced it with sea salt. And we make
Yeah, a little bit more consistency as well. And as you sort of start to like a recipe, you're always developing, and you never quite finish.
Yeah. Thanks, Will.
More than welcome.
So I think this is the most complex of the cans in terms of the flavour. There's a
That's how I
lot
like
of
to explain it.
a lot of flavours layered on top of each other, and actually that's quite challenging to do well, to kind of get each of those elements to sing both together and individually.
Yeah, so when I talk about this with people, I remember when I first started brewing that I was told that not to use any more than 3 ingredients, stick to quite simple flavours, otherwise you don't know what's going to happen at the end.
Yeah.
And that's good for developing recipes, but once you've developed a recipe and then you start moving it along, you can really start getting used to it, and this is where this is at. So when you put your nose into it, Tom, what do you get?
Oh, it's richer than the first one. So and that I can get the tarragon coming through. I obviously know it's tarragon. It's not that familiar a smell or a flavour, but that for me is the predominant. A little bit grassy, a little bit anise, creamy almost. Like there's a richness to it.
And you can really smell the salt too. And
Yeah.
I always have this sort of can you smell salt? And I'm like, well, you can smell the ocean, you can smell salt.
Yeah, it's true.
So it's got
It's
a little bit of that sort of character to it as well. We also use lemon peel in here as well, just to give it a little bit of citrus, a little
something to bite into.
yeah, something to lighten it up with the acid profile.
This is definitely one of the ones that you want to have a couple of sips. It will open up. It's, as we said, it was quite complex, so you need to sort of bend your mind around it a little bit.
Yeah, especially after the hopped.
Yeah.
The hopped had a nice dry finish. This one, you're really picking up a little bit more of the sweetness. You can really get that I think it's a lemon peel that's giving it that sort of roundy creaminess to it as well. So just because we use not just the peel, we use a little bit of the pith as well.
Yeah, so you get some of those oils coming out.
Get some of those oils, and it gives it a nice rounded sort of feel to it as well. You get a nice little bit of hop character in there as well.
Yeah.
It helps dry out at the end, but then you can get hit with that beautiful salty finish at the end.
I know, that for me, that's what makes this exceptional, right? It's that salty, almost like, it's not like salted caramel, but in the same way that you use salt and salted caramel.
Yeah,
so
salt and sweet go together so well, you know.
Exactly.
But yeah, cheers.
That's tasting really good today. I kind of oscillate between which is my favourite, but sometimes you just taste it and go, oh, that's
That's
really
the beauty about the 4-pack, is that there's definitely one in there for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
So guys, this is probably another good time. Pause your video, finish off your drink, enjoy it, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Yeah, and if you've got any thoughts or questions, then either send us an Instagram or an email. Yeah, we'd love to hear what people think about what we're doing.
We really do. It's the best sort of way to get feedback.
It does make my day when people send us an email. I had a lovely phone call from someone the other day.
Nice.
It's just really nice.
This is it. When you actually give your number out to people and they use it, it's quite surprising. You know, and it's usually you always think you're going to be scared of people just annoying you with stuff, but we only get great things come through.
Yeah,
so.
which is nice.
All right.
Well, hopefully you've had a little bit of a pause. Where you can carry on. Where are we going next, Will?
So I think the next one that I usually like to go to is the sour. So let's crack open the sour.
Cool. So tell us about the sour, Will.
So-
How's this made and how's this different?
So the sour is my baby. This is a mixed fermentation mead. So mixed fermentation just means that it's using different yeast and bacteria. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is sour when you say mixed fermentation, but generally it is. So with this one we're using Saccharomyces, which is your normal brewers or baking yeast. Then we're using Lactobacillus, which is what you'll find in yogurt and used to cure cheese. And then we also use Acetobacter, which you'll find in vinegar and in Belgian beers, which is where I sort of got the inspiration for this growing up. I loved the Belgian beer. It was something so strange to me, that combination of acid profiles and the sourness that goes to it always struck me as something I always wanted to create.
Yeah, and I guess what's really cool is those three organisms form this kind of symbiotic relationship where they're kind of producing different compounds that they all kind of eat together. And
Yeah,
it's really unique mixed fermentation.
Yeah, so the fun side of that too is that Acetobacter converts alcohol into acetic acid. So you've got a different style of fermentation happening there as well. So that means you need to produce the alcohol using the Saccharomyces and that converts sugar to alcohol, and then you've got the Lactobacillus, which will convert sugar to lactic acid, and then you've got the Acetobacter that takes some of that alcohol and converts that over to acetic
so
acid.
what we do is we obviously essentially sour up the mead, don't we? So we make quite a sour base and we back it off with a sweeter mead, which is technically they use in Belgian beers as well.
Yeah, and this is what you'll find about this is it's a balance between sour and sweet. So it's not like your typical sour beer, which can be quite acidic and dry. This has got a nice balanced sweetness to it that really makes it unique.
Yeah, cool.
So let's have a go.
Oh, so on the nose you definitely get that acid profile, right?
Yeah, so you get a little bit of that sort of vinaigrette, that nice rounded sweet smell of the lacto as well. And you get nice yeast characters. We also use a little bit of tea in this as well, and that's just to give a little bit of nitrogen to our mixed fermentation. So with that there, you're going to get a little bit of this tannin structure and a little bit of brownness coming from the tea as well. Other than that, it's pretty much a straight mead. So you're looking at just how that bacteria works with the honey, which is really cool.
And then on the flavour, you get this. It's a little bit funky. Is not necessarily. It's not super funky. There's a hint of funk in there. And then there's the acid, which is nicely foiled with the sweetness, and then for me it just gets you salivating at the back of my mouth.
Yeah, and the tea allows it just to give that little bit of maltiness, that little bit of biscuit that you can kind of get in there, or bread some people associate it with, and that just gives it a nice full round feel to it as well, which is really, really cool.
It's really cool.
But this is definitely, we talked about it before about having our favourites. This one's always my first or my second favourite. It takes a very long time to make. Probably about 3 or 4 times as long as all the other cans, but
there we go. It's worth it. It's worth it. So guys, again, let us know what you think about that, and take a pause, take a breather if you like, and then we'll continue.
Yeah, enjoy.
Where are we going next then, Will?
Okay.
Oh, well, go for the last can, the hibiscus, which is my personal favourite, the one that I like to drink in the shower.
Please tell me more. I haven't heard this story.
The world's split about shower beers.
Well, in Australia, it's always been a thing. It's not even a question of, oh, that's weird. It's just you're either a person who does it or you don't.
Yeah, so I'm a person who likes a really cold beverage in the shower. And this is my go-to beverage, especially at the moment. So it's the hibiscus mead, beautifully pink.
As you can see, yeah, and this one talking a little bit more about not having proteins in our mead as well. The hibiscus itself actually gives a little bit of protein structure to this as well. That's why you get a little bit better head retention with the hibiscus versus the other 3 cans.
So this is made by essentially jamming the fermenter full of hibiscus flowers, so dried hibiscus flowers.
Which, if you've ever had dried hibiscus flowers, they're very tart, they're beautiful and fruity, and they're just a really cool thing to work with. And when we put our nose into it, we'll see all these fruits and these red fruit sort of flavours that come through, but there's nothing there but hibiscus, which is why I really love working with this,
really cool.
this ingredient.
Yeah, so on the nose I get blackcurrant, jam,
Very
fruity,
jammy.
very jammy.
Yeah, I get a little bit of, little tiny bit of cranberry and a little bit of raspberry, these sort of like berry characteristics.
Fruits,
yeah, these red fruits. Not so much red stone fruit, but more berry-esque.
It's a red stone fruit.
Would you call plum a red stone
I
fruit?
suppose you would, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's red on the outside,
It's
but
red on the
it's usually
outside.
got white flesh.
Anyway.
Oh, can you get...
We don't
Conversation
rest.
for another time.
Yeah.
This is the beauty about drinking mead, is as you get further on, the conversation gets a little...
more fluid. Yeah, so and this is just gorgeous, right?
So on the palate, you really got to notice the level of sweetness drop, and that's not necessarily less sugar than the others or less residual honey than the others. It's more that acid profile from the hibiscus is really lifting that drink to be, perception of sweetness to drop.
Yeah, and I think what the hibiscus, there must be some tannic structure in that this hibiscus flower, because you get that dryness at the end, which I always compare to, say, a cranberry juice.
Yeah.
So that drying out. It's not dry, it's sweet, but then you get that dry finish, which is nice.
And it's really fun to sort of go through that, especially when you compare all the cans and how different they are based on their ingredients. This one's one of those ones where you're just like, wow, that's so diversely different to the rest, and it's only one ingredient.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah, cool.
So
really
guys,
fun.
take another breather if you need it, and then we'll continue on with some of the small batch. What are you doing here?
I heard you guys are tasting some mead, so I wanted to join the party.
We will be.
We will be. We've just finished tasting the 4 packs of mead, so hopefully you've enjoyed that. This is a bit of a segue into the second half, which is our more premium mead tastings.
Yeah, so we change them each month, and this is the next installment. So make sure your glasses are clean, ready to go, and enjoy. So guys, welcome back. Nice little introduction. We've got Amelia with us to do some tasting. This is some of the first meads, I guess, of these meads that you've had before, Amelia. So the first one I'm going to get into is one that we used to make when I first started here, which is gooseberry and Assam tea. So Assam tea is like a sort of malty, rich tea that we use in the primary fermentation, and a little bit of tannin structure, gives a little bit of body and roundness. The gooseberry is super tart, it's a little bit sweet as well, so it just gives you this nice sweet sour base sort of work with. It's 5.5% alcohol, and yeah, might as well get into it. So first you're going to get just a little bit of colour. It's actually not as orange as I remember. It's been a little while since I've had a go at this one too, but yeah.
Smells quite sour.
Yeah, it's got a little bit of tartness to it on the nose. Smell a little bit of like this, like a gooseberry when it comes in, and when you get it into a syrup, it kind of has this almost like molassesy sort of like smell to it as well. This not like burnt caramel, but like this little bit of weird caramel that comes with it. And a little bit of honey underneath it, but the gooseberry is really quite strong, and then just a little bit of that malty tea sort of character. Huh? Okay. Oh yeah.
It's a lot sweeter than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, on the nose it's almost drying, but when it hits the palate, that gooseberry tartness, that sweetness. There's also this caramelization that's happening in there as well. Just giving it this like little bit of length and a little bit of body, and then you're left with a little bit of a tannin structure at the end as well. So that's all the tea doing that sort of body work. But it's about the same sweetness as the cans as well. It's just that little bit of gooseberry, a little sweet and sour sort of balances out quite nicely.
Yeah, it's a lot sweeter than it smells, but
Yeah, it's a different one though.
yeah, that's good. I like that.
I could drink a lot of that. Dangerously. So the next ones that we're going to get into, so guys, if you need to have a pour and clear stuff out, we're going to go straight on top of our own glasses anyway. But the next one that's in the summer tasting kit is the Kvik. So we do an 8% Kvik traditional. So Kvik being a Norwegian farmhouse style yeast. It's usually fermented quite high, can have tropical sort of citrus aromas. The coolest thing about this one, which we'll get into, is this is a blend of 3 different strains of Kvik. It's got this musky sort of nose to it. It's quite strange for a mead. So it's almost like marzipan.
Yeah.
And underneath it's got this weird little funky layer that sort of, and there's a little bit of anise.
Yeah.
That's really come along really cool. So the best things about these two is that we sort of brewed this maybe 6-9 months ago, and that sort of curve of the flavour profile has changed and sort of settling into what it's going to be, and it's this like almost licoricey marzipan. The honey character's still there, but it's really quite far in the back. Let's try this because when it hits the palates where the fun happens on this one. The palate is super soft. There's a little bit of anise, like more like star anise than licorice.
Yeah.
Remember, this is just water, yeast, and honey. So this is like just everything that's coming from that is actually just pretty much coming from that yeast.
Yeah.
Which is probably the coolest thing about this. The next one that we're going to try has got a lot more additions and is drawing a little bit more on the fruit character. But this one's really dialing into the honey and the yeast. But that nose is really cool. That's that star anise is something else. Front of the palate, sweet. Starts to run in. And almost gets like boiled lollies sort of mid palate. And it cleans up quite short as well. You think it's going to stick with that sugar and stick really, really long.
Yeah, no, it's quite almost like watery, refreshing.
Yeah. Actually, this is slowly creeping up to be one of my favourite ones, just because it's so unusual. Like most of the other ones, you get a nice sort of like tropical aromas, a little bit of melon in there or apple, where this one's just weird spice and sweet, and really, really happy with that. So again, guys, have a pause, clean your glass, and we'll go to the last one of the Summer Tasting Bundle. So this one is a red fruit melomel. So melomel is a mead made with any type of fruit, realistically. So this one is done with blue raisins, red grapes, white sultanas, blackberries. Is there one other? It might come to me. I said blue currants already, didn't I? Yeah. So then we age this with a rum stave, just for a little bit of that sort of character in there. But now, as it's sort of aged now for about 9 months, it's starting to come out like a nice provincial rosé. So it's just going to have a nice sort of light fruity aroma on the nose, high acid profile. It's bone dry, and then yeah. So it's a little bit more wine-esque.
Yeah,
it's a little bit sort
you can
of
smell it.
more interesting. More interesting nose, where the other one's got a little, two-tonal spice character and a little bit of sort of like honey underneath it. This is, there's a little bit of tropical in there, like more like green pineapple than sweet pineapple. And then you're just getting a little bit of this rum, and there's a little bit of a astringency on the nose as well. There's also something else in there. Something really cool. But before you get to that sort of like, there's like a bitter citrus peel, like not quite grapefruit, maybe like bitter orange peel at the back.
Yeah. It's interesting because I have no idea what it's going to taste like. All of the noses have been really different.
Yeah, to the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers. Let's go on a little bit.
You can really taste the raisin, actually.
Yeah, that's
First.
really pushed through.
Yeah. The first sip.
And there's a lot of astringency using all those sort of like, 'cause a lot of them were dried fruits as well. You're getting a little bit more of that tannin structure come through, and then with that rum state as well, you're getting a little bit of that structure, which allows it to be a little bit more drying and a bit better mouthfeel. Because as soon as you start running meats quite dry, you start to lose a bit of that mouthfeel. So being able to make it up with either tea or oak aging and things like that really help just create that whole mouthfeel.
And you kind of get the like sharpness of the rum a little bit in it.
Yeah. At the start of it, it was going to, the idea behind it was a little bit of red wine meets rum punch, and then it ended up coming out like a little bit of an homage to a rosé. It's got this little edge to it that reminds me of like a big bodied provincial rosé. You can almost pick out that I don't know if you've ever, green sultanas, that was the other one that was in as well. I don't know if you ever had green sultanas before. They got this weird like appley sort of like acid bite to them as well.
Yeah, no, I'm really getting the raisin. But I think that's because I really like raisins, so you pick up on it, don't you?
But guys, thanks for that. Thanks for joining me. And that's about it.
Well, hopefully you've enjoyed that tour, whistle-stop tour, or not so whistle-stop tour, through our meads. If you have any questions or you want to let us know what your favourite was, tag us in your photos. Everyone loves a bit of social.
Yeah.
And get in touch.
So guys, thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.